Hello, I'm Bobby Kavna, and this is a demonstration for a D3 visualization I created based on FDA data for adverse drug events. An adverse drug event is when someone experiences harm from taking a medication. Um, this visualization is broken into 4 parts. The first section here is a market overview. It shows 3 segments of the pharmaceutical market, and it also shows drug classes. For the market segments, it shows the different companies that are in that segment. Each of the large circles here represents a company, and then each of the smaller circles inside that circle represents a drug that they're approved to market. You can zoom in for additional details. You can see this circle, ICU Medical Inc., was approved for 45 drugs. And then there's a similar breakout for generic drugs and for over-the-counter drugs. The brand and generic are prescription drugs, whereas the over-the-counter is not prescription. For the drug classes, there's a similar breakout here. So you can see this class is a histamine class that has 23 approved drugs. And so you can just get a general idea of the size of the market, how many companies and how many drugs are involved. And so that's mostly for background for the adverse drug events. For the actual drug events, and the next section here is the impact visualization. And this shows the companies and the drugs that had adverse drug events during 2021. These companies are required to report those to the FDA. So these are the cases that were reported in 2021. And these are just for the drug that was the primary suspect in the case. Sometimes there can be more than one drug involved, but these are the primary suspected drugs. You can see that these are sorted in rank. So this one here is GlaxoSmithKline, which had over 125,000 cases in 2021. This section also shows the demographics that were impacted. So each of these bubbles here is a demographic group. You can see the darkest circles are the oldest people that were impacted. The green one is males over 80, and the purple one is females over 80. And there's a similar breakout here for the top 50 drugs. You can see Zantac was the highest ranking drug with over 115,000 cases. You can also select one of these drugs. So if I select Zantac here, it will filter this demographic breakout so you can see how the population was impacted. You can see the oldest, there was 438 males over the age of 80. A lot of these are unknown. These gray ones are where there was missing demographic information. But the intention of this is just to see if any populations stand out. You can see some of them have disproportionate genders, like this one has all females. So that was the intention of this breakout section here. The next section is the trends visualization, and this just shows the number of ADEs for each year. You can see the total cases here. It's also got a demographic breakout, so the cases by gender are shown below. The cases by age band are shown. And then there's also an outcome section here, which shows the percentage of deaths, disabilities, and hospitalizations that occurred. So you can see hospitalizations here for all cases this is actually during 2019. You can hover over these points and it will filter for that point. So for 2021, there were 114,382 cases, which were 10%. And so that's just intended to show how the cases have changed over time. It also shows here that females are impacted more than males. You can see their case counts are a lot higher. The age bands are a little bit more as expected. The older ages generally have more cases, except for the very oldest age group here, which has the lowest, and that may actually be based on the percentage of the population of that group. The next section is the ADA litigation section. This is just meant to give a general idea of some of the legal activity around ADEs. It doesn't give a full picture, but it does give some information. You can see here there's a breakout. These are all the cases that were reported to the FDA by lawyers. You can see it shows by class here in this first chart. This dark blue section is a histamine class, which was actually related to Zantac, the highest ranking drug for 2021. You can see the next highest is an opioid class. You can also filter this for the specific drugs. You can see Zantac and its generic equivalent were these two very large sections here. So it just gives an idea that most of the cases reported by lawyers were for a few drugs and a few drug classes. The breakouts by demographics are also shown here. You can see males have a much higher occurrence than females, in spite of the proportions for the entire population, which are higher for females. So that was an interesting result. And so that is the ADE map.